So we want to start by celebrating the achievements of women. We talked about how we have historical exclusion, but the fact of the matter is when we are included, we help our teams win. And so I would love to start it with either of you to talk to us about the achievements you've seen and experienced yourself in gaming that make you feel good about the direction the industry is heading in.
Well, I still have a lot to learn and grow personally, so there's not like too much I feel like I've accomplished, but there are a lot of milestones I've seen women in the industry like pave the way with. So a good example that I've noticed is a lot of collaborations, which kind of reminds me of what XSET has done with, musical artists and gaming combined. One example in the industry is Valkyrie. She's an amazing streamer. One of my amazing friends that I'm proud to call her as a friend. She's amazing. She was on a music video with a TikToker named Bella Porch. And the whole purpose of that was showing more attention to, women in the industry, but also in general, and talking about the diversity with them being Filipino. So I thought that was really amazing that they had that collaboration, and it really did remind me of what XSET has been achieving and going forward with their diversity and their future plans. So I really loved seeing that.
That's such a great crossover example. And was it well received? Like, were people celebrating what was being done?
Yeah, a lot of people were showing support on it. It was like trending on Twitter. It was amazing. I loved seeing that, especially as a mixed person of Asian descent and Hispanic descent and Russian descent. I'm like a little bit of everything. So to see like many part of what I am and my friends are and everyone in the world being represented, like whether it's music videos or a lot of collaborations, I think it's really awesome.
And does it help you feel like, you have 45,000 followers. Like, I know you still have a lot to, and long may it last, right? May you do this for another 85, 90 years, as long as you'd like, but you've achieved a lot. And so when you see these moments, do you feel like, yes, I'm going to keep going? And does it help you wake up in the morning and do what you do?
Yeah, 100%. I think it definitely motivates me. There's times where, it's not always sunshine and rainbows with content creating or just in general with the industry. And I feel like, this is the whole purpose of this conversation is that, a lot of women in the industry are very strong to keep pursuing their dreams and keep that initiation going forward, that initiative. And they, the important thing is to stay motivated. So I think seeing that along with many other examples, I can't think off the top of my head, but it's very awesome to see that. So yeah, it does inspire me and encourage me to keep waking up and doing what I do.
That's awesome. Starry, how about you? Tell us, let us celebrate you for a second and some of your accomplishments or things you've seen in the industry, stuff that helps you know we're heading in the right direction.
So one big thing, obviously, that happened to me was getting signed to XSET. And I think that was really amazing because before, when I played Counter-Strike and before Valorant even became a thing, I didn't see many female players and female teams and women teams like getting signed. It wasn't a very common thing. There was maybe 2 or 3 orgs actually showing support for women competitors. But after Valorant came out, there was just so much tournaments and money and being poured into the women's scene and actually so much support being shown for the women's scene. And seeing that actually motivated me to try even harder to get signed in Valorant. Obviously, eventually that happened with XSET. And it's amazing to see like all these orgs signing so many different women players. And I love seeing how in their tournaments, especially VCT, which is one of Valorant's biggest tournaments for women, seeing a lot of teams sign up. Because back in Counter-Strike, we had maybe 10 teams max sign up. And now we have way over 32 teams that want to actually play and compete in these tournaments.
That's wonderful. And it makes me think too, make sure that the inequities that you see in different leagues and different tournaments and other sports, right? Like you guys want to get paid the same up front.
Yeah, no, of course. And I think that because Valorant did such a good job supporting the women's scene and non-marginalized genders and everything, I think that inspired actually Counter-Strike to start their own circuit, and they actually created their own women's circuit that is happening right now. And I think that is just like a domino effect. Like seeing Valorant do so much kind of forced Counter-Strike to do the same for their scene.
Right, right, because they have to do it then to remain competitive, right? I mean, you brought in a different, a different revenue stream, right, and stuff like that. And are you seeing, young girls reach out and respond? I mean, in these tournaments, I mean, they just must be so excited to be seeing what's happening.
Yeah, I love seeing new players come about. I always see on Twitter more and more girls who are like, I love playing Valorant, and more tweets about how much they enjoy playing Valorant, seeing how much the scene actually is growing. Because for Valorant, we do have our own Galorants Discord, which is made to help women gamers find opportunities in Valorant and in like the competitive scene. And seeing more and more people join the Discord and want to compete is actually really amazing.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, Shiki, let's begin with your story. You're a content creator for XSET. Can you tell us about how you got into gaming and how that inspires and informs and excites, the content that you create? Help us understand your journey.
Well, my journey started when I was like pretty young. I was always playing like Mario Party games. I was just introduced to party games. And then as I got older, it slowly evolved to fighting games and then first-person shooters. For the longest time, I kind of stuck to that genre, first-person shooters, which is when I was growing up during like the Xbox 360 days. I saw a lot of like those sexist comments made about girls gaming, and I was like, why is me being me an issue? Like, if like I didn't understand that. And I was really young. This was like, I don't know, like when I was like in second grade, maybe like I think around Xbox. Yeah. So I was like,
and you were seeing these misogynist, sexist comments.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah. Also hearing it was not the best, but I wouldn't change that because I was exposed to it from a young age. So I understood like, if this is something I eventually am passionate about in the future, like I going forward, like knew what to expect, as sad as that sounds, but I like already developed tough skin from that. So as I got older, I noticed little things in like middle school, high school. A lot of people were shocked when they're like, you play games? I'm like, yeah, I play video games. Like, why is that a surprise, And then a lot of people were like, oh, that's cool. Like, this is different. Like, this is a female playing a game and she's not bad. And I'm like, it's just a game. Like, why does it matter if I'm good or bad, And then eventually in high school, I found out what Twitch was from a small Instagram community, which is how I initially met Valkyrie. And I found out what Twitch was. And that was it was like right before Fortnite, like had been a big thing. Like a couple years before that. And I was like, oh, Twitch is pretty cool. And I had a small community and a lot of them were like, you should stream. So I've always been a variety streamer from the start. And I was like, I like, making content. I'd always scroll on Instagram and see people post like funny clips or very competitive clips. And I saw like not many girls post about it, but I like surrounded myself with females that were passionate about competitiveness and like just content just to be funny wise. And then I just slowly started building my community from variety gaming, and then I got lucky enough to be signed on XSET. So that's pretty much it. Nothing crazy, but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's a great ride, and it sounds like you were like given some information, and you were like, let me check it out, let me take this opportunity, right? I mean you made some moves for yourself that ended up paying off. That's great.
Yeah.
So this question is going to be for the both of you. And Starry, we're going to start with you. When it comes to gender equity, closing the gap between intention to impact is imperative to change. So how do you hope to impact the industry through what you two do as content creators, as a professional player? What do you hope to see with XSET or through XSET's efforts?
So for me personally, I hope that I can inspire more women to chase their goals into becoming a pro player. Obviously, when I was trying to become a pro player, there were very few role models that I looked up to, but if it weren't for them, I don't think I would even have pursued this route. So for me, I want to be a good example and set the standard and say like, hey, we could be as good as men. Like, and I've grinded my rank to hit the highest rank a few times just to prove that like I can play at that level. And so going forward, I just hope that I can inspire more women and set a good example as why they should be chasing their goals to become a professional player. And through XSET, they've been so supportive of our goals and trying to help us get to be on top of not only the women's scene, but also achieve the same thing in the men's scene and slowly become the best and play at a tier 1 level with the guys as well. So I hope that more orgs and more people can see that XSET is doing a lot to support women and that they should be doing the same and just being a good example and setting the standard.
You bring up such a good point, Starry, thinking about, this is a sport where there is a lot of equity inherent in it, right? In the sense of maybe strength or speed or, other things that are judged physically. And so you very likely could have a woman be the LeBron James, right, of the industry, and not like, oh, Starry's the best woman, but Starry's the best gamer and she'll beat anybody, right? I mean, you really can make that effort in a way that you might not be able to do with physical sports. That's really exciting.
Yeah, I think with gaming, it is very possible. And I've played on mixed teams before, and I've played on women-only teams before. So obviously, like, women can compete at that level if given the chance. And because, like, there has been only support for women only recently to, like, becoming a pro. And only recently has org shown a huge support for women. I think if we just continue setting that pace for women and continue showing them the support that they need, they can compete at the top level.
Love it. Shiki, what about you? What would you like to see through XSET's efforts, and, how do you hope to impact the industry?
I personally think like XSET's already doing an amazing job just signing, both, males and females of, different, like even different like games or like competitiveness or content creation, race, even like they're really all about diversity, which I love. And that's what I initially got so like attracted to like signing them, because of their like morals and values and ideas. I think XSET's already doing a great job. Just keep doing what you're doing. Thanks, guys. But I think going forward, kind of like what I mentioned with the whole like collabs, I think, who wouldn't want to see more collabs, especially since, XSET has all these ideas and all these things they've already accomplished with these like musical collabs. I've seen that a lot more lately, which I'm surprised it hasn't been a thing like in the past years. So it's like more things are happening. So I hope it keeps happening. I hope there's more collabs. I'm actually wearing a XSET shirt, Ozuna X XSET. I was actually wearing it today. That was a perfect example of a collab. Did it with a Call of Duty Mobile. So I thought that was already like a step in the right direction, along with other things in the future that they plan on doing. For me personally, kind of aligns similar to Starry. I just want to inspire people to chase their dreams and to just not give up, because again, commending Starry for saying this, like there's a lot of people don't really come out and say like there wasn't a lot of female role models like a couple years ago. Only now is there a lot of support from orgs and just in general from like the streamer aspect of it. Now I see a lot more girls wanting to be competitive, maybe not on a team, but just to set that goal for themselves to be like a high rank in Valorant, or to play just tournaments for fun like Twitch rivals and stuff like that. So I think it's really awesome that you can be competitive, not like as a female, but not doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be on a team for it. You can be just as competitive and create content with it and still have fun, because sometimes competitiveness is not meant for everybody to be on a like hardcore team, but you can still showcase that skill and still have fun with it on a casual level too.
I love that, right? Because we do need to be everywhere, and it's not just about people who, maybe even have the time to be able to, compete at, such a high level. But whatever you're doing, do it loudly, do it proudly, right? Be out there and inspire others, no matter where in gaming you are, I think is a great takeaway on this Women's History Month for for all of us to think about what can we do. Like, even if you're a fan, and if you're a male ally, like, shout out to our male allies. That's also how you help, right? You promote the women who are out here holding it down, doing their stuff, and you give them, right, the shine that they deserve as well. So it takes a village, it takes all of us, and it's important to do that. So, Starriebun, you're a pro Valorant player, and this is something that I'm definitely curious about, and other folks might be curious about as well. We know that the gaming industry has challenges with women and belonging. So can you tell us about your pathway, and a couple of stories, and what it means to be in a place that you feel like you belong, like XSET?
So actually, it's really funny. I started from Counter-Strike, and I played in a few tournaments for Counter-Strike just for fun. And when Valorant first came out, I actually wanted to make the switch and go really hard into content creation. I actually really wanted to be a big content creator for Valorant when the game was starting out. But seeing how much Valorant poured their attention into the women's scene and actually introducing a lot of women tournaments right off the bat with like a big prize pool, it kind of changed my mind and made me want to grind the game and get as good as I can and want to compete. So eventually I got picked up on a team and got noticed for my skills. And I eventually started my own team later on that got picked up by XSET. And I feel like we scrim mostly against male teams, and we kind of keep up with them. We even beat them sometimes, which kind of sets a good pace for us. And we kind of like to scrim the male team sometimes just to see where we are against them as well. So we do work really hard to set the standard for ourselves to be not only the best women's team, but also the greatest team in general. And I think XSET does a great job like supporting us. But I think it took a lot of grinding and a lot of motivation for me to get to where I am, because obviously when you are a female player, a woman player, especially when you're playing ranked or competitive games, there will always be men who will tell you you're like not good enough. And there's like a lot of pressure added being like a woman player, because if you have one bad game, it's automatically like women don't belong here. They don't belong in playing the game. So it's a lot of added pressure that I have to perform my best like all the time. But it's worth it because I get to do something that I love and hopefully inspire others to do the same.
And have there been any times where like dudes have given you your props and like, oh, you play good for a girl or whatever?
All the time. The amount of times I've heard somebody say like, you're the first girl that I've met that isn't bad at the game. And I'm like, obviously you have not met other women. And it's very obvious and clear in that statement. But obviously when people just say stuff like that, it only motivates me to get better.
Right.
It drives
it's
me.
true, right? You're like, yeah, I am the first woman that beat you or that you not respect, and we're coming, right? Get used to it.
Yeah. I can't wait till they get in a game with one of my teammates or even a fellow competitor and just like absolutely dominate them. It's like actually motivation for us to like be better than them, because it only makes them mad. But it's fuel. It drives me.
That's right. And I think, you see that no matter what industries you're in, the women or even men or LGBTQ plus communities that need to break the walls, they need to thrive off of a part of that, right? Because it can really get you down. And, I think a lot of folks don't realize, like, it's hard to not take it personal and it's hard to not feel that way. And saying you're good for a girl is probably some of the least, right, insulting things you've heard.
It's definitely like a backhanded compliment. Like they think it's like an actual compliment. Like, wow, you're good for a girl. But like you would never say that to a man. You would never say, wow,
right,
you're good at this video game for a boy. Because why would you?
Right. It doesn't make sense, right? The sentence doesn't make sense when you swap out the gender, which lets you know the sentence just doesn't make sense.
Exactly.
Here's a question for both of you, and Shiki, we'll start with you because you talked a lot about collaborations, and I love collaborations, and I love just this idea of collaborating wherever, whenever possible, and I think when we think about Women's History Month and just, women fighting for a place in any industry, right? Fighting for credit, and, not too long ago, right? To get our own credit cards and bank accounts. That there's always this sort of sisterhood, not with everyone, right? But there was this idea that women would come together so that if someone were to say like, hey, Shiki, like we need 3 speakers, you would make sure that women, right, were a part of the list you were offering. And, just this feeling of having each other's backs in certain spaces. Can does that exist in gaming? And, and how do you see collaboration working between women, not only in front, but also, informally behind the scenes sometimes?
I definitely think, like what you said, like collaboration is very important at any point. If you can collaborate, you should go for it. It definitely does help. A perfect example is I had spoken with XSET about this like idea we had, I believe this time last year, and it was a Valorant type of like women's like tournament type of idea. And XSET had managed to get the collaboration with other like orgs that they were, friends with, and they were like, hey, let's do like, like Valorant games, and like it's all like, majority was female. I think we might have had like a couple of males depending on like the teams, like who we can get and stuff. But it was just so awesome to see like everyone coming together, and even like that's like on the front end, right? But like behind the scenes, everyone was so supportive and like just down for it. So I think that was an amazing idea. And I'm happy that like XSET had done that. And I think, going forward, if we keep doing that and more people take the this example from XSET, I think it would make the industry a little bit of a better place and more accepting, and more people feel like they belong.
I love that. I'm just going to take a moment to shout out Greg Selko, who I worked with years ago. We were only 5 when we met. But we weren't. We were, but when we worked at Carmeloop together, and he has been so dedicated to make sure that there's other folks coming along with him. So shout out to you, Greg. And your collaborative efforts, which I'm so appreciative of. A true ally, a true male ally. And shout out to Dina, his wife, who makes sure that he comes correct. There's always sisters. Starry, how about you? How do you see sisterhood? And, if I can just go on a little like tangent for a second, like if I was a gamer and like if someone said something to you that was like sexist, I would like immediately jump in, right? And be like, the fuck, like da 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 da. And, so I don't know if that stuff that actually happens like during the game, where women will defend one another, and is there, possibility for that? But what is your experience around sisterhood in gaming?
So for me as a competitive player, I love to talk to other competitors in the scene. I love to stream with them. I love to game with them. I love to duo with them. And going back to your point on what you just said, there are times where me and my teammates will be playing a game together and someone will say something to one of us and we're very, very quick to defend each other. Or if we see that we have another girl in the lobby, we're very quick to be like, oh my gosh, you are the greatest player. And we love to hype each other up in that sense, because we have to stick together. Women have to stick together. Like when everyone else is against us, if we stick together, it just all works out. And I'm very, very quick to defend all women. Like if anything happens, if anyone says something to another girl, I'm very quick to say something and stand up for them, because that's what we should be doing. We should be telling them that it's not normal behavior. It's not okay. But yeah, I love seeing collaborations between women. For me personally, I love gaming with them and playing with them. And if there are any opportunities that I see that would fit them, or if I see that they're looking for a team, I love to recommend them and try to help them get to being signed and hopefully helping them find a good opportunity.
So important, because if you the thing about exclusion is figuring out how to get in. And I think what folks who remember a time before gaming, you see this new industry come about and you see it become so huge and so global, and you want to hope that it will reflect some of the lessons, right, that we learned from banking and right and other industries that started so long ago. And so to see that there's still this sort of, boys network, and that, that it's exciting to see, though, at the same time, rather than waiting 200 years before, right, before things can start changing, that you, Shiki, the other women and, gender fluid folks who are a part, are claiming states now and claiming ground now to make sure there's an old girls network, right? Connecting folks and keeping everyone jobs and paid and hyped up. So that's awesome. We are getting some questions from the audience, which is great. So let's go with this. I'm going to ask one more question and then we'll jump to a question from the audience. But Starriebun, gaming is a rising industry for young people, and the range of gamers are vast. What would you pass on to young gamers who might be listening to this talk about how to grow, how to push their how to grow their brand and how to push through stereotypes? How do they become you, Starriebun?
Definitely my biggest advice to anyone starting off in gaming, especially women, is there will always be people to bring you down, and there will always be people who are against what you're doing. But if this is really your love, and if gaming is like really your passion, you just have to go for it and use all that noise that they're making as fuel for you to continue just doing what you do. Like my goal whenever I post my clips on Twitter, TikTok, anything, or my goal when I play video games is to make them mad. If I'm being completely honest, I love when they get mad that I'm better than them or that I'm a girl playing a video game. I love it, and I use it as fuel to get better, because there will always be people who are like going to say like women don't belong here, women shouldn't do this. But if you actually give into that, like, you're not going to accomplish anything, and you should just push yourself. If it's something that you love, you should want to try and make a difference. So just work as hard as you can and put all that time and energy into it. And for growing your brand, just be very consistent about posting. Try to find your niche. Try to find your little special talent that kind of makes you stand out from others, and really farm into that and just grow as much as you can.
I love that. And I'm going to add something that I'm witnessing. And so I just want to name it, is that you have to have confidence in your game.
Of course.
Like what I love, like you said, Starry, you will bring it any day, anytime, right? Bring it. And that is, I think, something that, I would add on to that wonderful list that you laid out, because there's something about that I can see that gives you an edge to maybe other people who might be a little more scared about their game, right? And might not be as confident. So like work at getting confident in who you are when you get started to play. Shiki, this is a question for you from the audience. How does one build their following or brand when they keep hitting stagnant growth or obstacles? How do we keep going when you think you're going and then you plateau and you're like, what is this?
To be honest, I think I'm currently on a plateau. No, I noticed a lot. This is just me personally. What I've noticed with my experience is that for me, if I how to explain it, as a variety like streamer, it is very hard to have like a core audience right away that like watches you for you, because when you're a variety streamer, some people are going to see you on Fortnite, some people are going to see you on Valorant. The one thing that helped was I had to find a genre or a type of, I guess, niche, like Starriebun kind of had said, that actually made me happy, because for me, I was like, it didn't really matter what game I played. I just wanted to match the energy of the people that were watching me and in chat. That's just what I feed off of. So when I realized I was getting like stagnant and I was kind of like plateauing, I was like, oh, it's because like I could have good vibes in the chat, but I personally wasn't having the like fun with the game. So eventually I found my game, which is GTA. I roleplay on Grand Theft Auto, which is really fun, and one of the top servers, No Pixel. I applied for it on my they gave you 5 tries, and on my last try I was like, okay, I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna get in. And I got in on my 5th try, because if I didn't like get it, I couldn't apply anymore. So so I got in, and I started to realize like it felt like second nature to me. Like I didn't feel like I had to try so hard making content, which is weird. A lot of people kind of say you have to push yourself, you have to try hard, which is like right to an extent. You can't like bury yourself with this work, because if you're really passionate about it, right, but you find yourself feeling not like as motivated, you just have to change a slight direction. And that's kind of what I learned from Gary V's TikTok. Actually, he mentioned like it's not bad if you feel lazy. It's because you need to change something. You can be initially passionate about something, but you need to change the direction a little bit, which is again what Starriebun said. You can be passionate about gaming, but you need to find your niche that you're passionate about. So it might not be that game for you. It might not be, you know, a competitiveness. Like you know, maybe you're not meant to be competitive. A lot of people get very drained from it. Especially, you know, women. It can be discouraging at times. But sometimes, like, you know, you feel like that's a better route for you. So I would say just to find what you feel confident in and kind of feels like second nature to you, where you feel motivated to grind it out. A personal experience of mine is I actually wanted to be a competitive player. A lot of people don't know that. I've competed at Call of Duty tournaments. And I've played on mixed teams against a lot of males, and it shocked everyone. Everyone was like, you're on a mixed team and you're playing well, and you have like good communication, and you're playing so well in this first person shooter. And there was like where all the pros were at. So, and as much as I enjoyed it, and I, you know, kind of like Starry, love pissing them off and be like, yeah, I'm good. I just, for my own mental health, I was like, I don't know if I'm meant to have that workload on myself. And a lot of people were like, you're actually funny. You should be good at the game and funny. And I was like, sure, I'll try it. So eventually I went to FPS, and then I found myself on GTA being hilarious. So
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
And, you know, to again name a strength that I'm witnessing and hearing is also like the ability to pivot. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel it anymore. Let me figure out something I'm feeling, right? Like,
I feel like a lot
giving
of people
yourself
get stuck.
permission.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people have this mindset that they have to stay in one direction. And that's not natural for us humans, even in life. You're not gonna stay a kid forever. You're not gonna stay, you know, a teenager forever. Like nothing is permanent. Everything is gonna, you know, always adapt and keep going. And that's like one thing I've always live by is like, as you know, negative I can sound, like nothing is permanent, but it's also a positive thing, because sometimes certain things are meant to happen that will be better for you. Like, you know, one thing that Starry said was she wanted to do content creation. This is what her initial thing was, you know, and then she's like, you know what, I'm actually gonna grind this out. I kind of like it, right? So then, you know, at that time, I can imagine it might have been like scary for you, right? It's a change, it's different. But she's amazing. She worked out for her, right? And same with me. I did the opposite. I went away from competitive, went to content creating, and it worked out well. So I think it's a good reminder for anyone. Like we're all human at the end of the day. You know, don't put so much pressure on yourself. If you feel like you need a pivot, that's like what life is about. Just learn how to adapt, and it will be so much happier. Go with the flow.
Don't beat yourself up. You know, like the world tries to do that enough. Like, you know, and I totally get what you're saying, Shiki, around competitiveness. And it's, you know, the same in all sports, right? Like you have 100%. Your like adult basketball league. Like my dad is a part of this like tennis league, and, you know, everyone's over 70, like no one's counting score, right? But like they go out and like they play their little tennis, right? Like, and it's, you know, you want to be able to have an outlet no matter what level and not feel the pressure of someone else's journey or, you know, someone else's story. And then the next question from the audience, and this is a great question. Again, I think leading off of what you guys were both just saying about your journeys, how do you handle high pressure situation when it comes to being part of an org? As creator, as pro player, as human beings, right? How do you handle the pressure? And Starry, it sounds like you dance in it. It sounds like you.
Yeah, I mean, it got to the point where like these high pressure situations, instead of making me nervous, it just kind of drives me. And I've turned that into like that anxiety into just motivation. Because there's no point in always thinking like, oh my gosh, what if I do this and XSET doesn't like it? Or what if I do this and I disappoint XSET? Instead of having that type of mindset, you change it into what can I do to make XSET proud? Like instead of thinking about what you're doing wrong, turn it into what you could be doing right and all the steps that you need to take and focus on that instead. Like if you're always constantly thinking about like your failures, you're gonna kind of manifest that into it. So what you want to do is just turn all those negatives into positives and change your mindset into thinking like, what could I do to be better instead of thinking like, oh, what if I do this and I fail? Because it's okay to fail. Everyone fails, and like having a supportive org like XSET, they're not gonna be mad at you for your failures. They're gonna help pick you back up because they're a support system. They're not somebody that you're trying to impress. Like at the end of the day, XSET is really good about being super supportive. And even if we take a loss or we don't get the placement that we want, everybody at XSET's always like, you guys did a great job. You'll get it next time. And you just got to be better for it.
Right. And also know that not everyone, Perfectville is a hard place to live, right? Like not everyone, like no one lives there, right? And so you will have bad days, and there's no reason to all of a sudden beat yourself up for it. Shiki, I see you nodding. How do you handle these? And especially you're trying to be funny too. I mean, sis, this sounds impossible.
I don't try. Apparently I just am because I say stupid stuff sometimes.
I love it.
No, I think Starry's a natural at talking. I'm just gonna sit here and let her talk. She's just she just says everything so good. I'm like, you're just saying what I'm thinking. No, I think what she worded it was very just literally what I would say. Just it's kind of like going back to what I said earlier with like going with the flow and having that mindset. There are times where you're gonna feel pressure, but you gotta just tell yourself like, turn it into a positive and be like, you want to make people proud, and you got to think positive and be like, they're here for you for a reason. It's good to have a support system, whether it's XSET or friends and family, to just, like just be there for you. And even if it's like a small thing, it could be sometimes you feel overwhelmed with, let's say, like Starry said, like a placement didn't go well, or, let's say I didn't have a personally a good stream and I thought it was going to be an amazing stream because I had like such a great idea for it. Like, at least you're putting yourself out there at the end of the day. So yeah, you're gonna feel high pressure because you want to try something new and you're nervous about it and you want to make everyone proud. But at the end of the day, like, we're all here and signed on XSET for a reason because they believe us and we believe in them. And at the end of the day, you got to remind yourself of that. So literally, Starry worded it perfectly. I can't add any more. So
and yet you did, Shiki, and yet you did. And I think this idea of what you both are talking about, and so I want to really pull it out, is that, and it's like any other competitive anything, that your mindset matters more than anything else. And if you think you're a loser, you're going to lose. If you think you're a winner, you're going to win. And even when winners lose, they're able to learn their lesson. They're able to shake it off, right? And get back up and go again. And that's as important as anything else. And this gets us to another audience question around, this person is feeling like it's hard to get their name out to collaborate. And, are there any steps that either of you guys have taken or any advice for someone who's trying to get their name out, to collaborate and just feeling like everything's hard, but I guess, they just keep on banging against the wall and not sure what to do.
Starry, you go.
Okay, I'll go first on that one. I think the biggest thing, especially when I was a content creator, the biggest thing I did was reach out to people. I would go through other people's streams in the same category as me. Obviously, I was a Valorant streamer, so I would go to other Valorant female streamers, and if I kind of vibed with them based on their stream, I'd be like, hey, I'd love to play with you sometime, and I like to hang out in their streams and make friends with them. It's all about like putting yourself out there and making friends. and just being very genuine about it. Just go out there and like even on Twitter, if you see somebody's tweet that you think is funny and you think they're like a funny person, start adding their tweets, start like engaging with them, try to make new friends in the community. And eventually when you start making new friends, you'll start playing together and then collaborations just kind of come to you. And like in terms of getting noticed, same thing. Just keep putting yourself out there. Post your clips. Start tagging people like under orgs when they make tweets. Start engaging with them. You know, just continuously putting your name out there and showing who you are and just using your social media as like a way to put yourself out there. Use everything that you have. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. You should be using every social media that you have to put yourself out there.
Shiki, anything to add?
I
Because
just feel
if
like she
not,
said
I do
everything
have
first.
this other question that goes to you specifically. So I can kick into something with you, but I do want to get your genius because you're not giving yourself a lot of credit, and that's okay. I'll just hold your flowers for you, sis.
No, I was gonna say like I said, I will always agree with what Starry says. I was gonna say, initially at the end of the day, it's all about making connections in this industry. That's how it works, you know, whether you want to word it one way or another. But to have long-term connections and you want to find like a group where you want to belong, this goes for both females and males in general. The one thing I always hear is, you know, you see all these big groups or orgs, you know, they're like a family, you know, a big group of friends that are very, you know, they're blown up very big. They have a lot of attention on them. A lot of people forget that they all started at this like little group of people just having fun and they were friends. They didn't think about, do you have this amount of numbers? Do you have this amount of subs? You know, at the end of the day, they were just like, do we all vibe together? Do we have that friendship? Great. So I think initially, like, yeah, you know, streaming is very competitive. It's a big business, content creation, everything. But like, you got to remind yourself, like, what do you want long-term for yourself? Like, yeah, who doesn't want, you know, money at the end of the day and numbers and attention, right? But like, what's more long-term than that is finding friends. So like, for me, I always looked at like, I need to make connections and blah, 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 blah. And I focused on numbers way too much. And I'm going to admit to that. It was not really a healthy mindset. But you know, when I made that switch to GTA, I made a lot of friends that had like the same vibes at me and the same, you know, motivations just in general as a content creator and just to have fun. And the people that I met in GTA, I actually had met them for the first time IRL this past weekend, and it was amazing, both guys and girls. And it was like, wow, it doesn't feel like a business connection or a business collaboration. It was genuine friends, and now it's more natural, and it's like, yeah, we'll all grow together, you know? So I think adding on to what Starriebun said is like, yeah, it is a connection at the end of the day. There's no doubt about it. It's all about networking. But don't put, you know, pressure on yourself with that. You have to think about it long term. It's more healthy for you. Just, you know, what friends you want to surround yourself with. Same goals, mindset, morals, all of that.
I'm gonna draw a double line under that, right? Again, I think you are giving folks a lot of permissions to just have like grace and space with their growth and with building their brand, because it is when you feel the best that you'll be the most successful. And it sounds like even in these collaborations, like, you know, if you're friends, you're going to figure out ways to collaborate, right? Like that'll just happen naturally. So this next question is around finding the motivation to grind and improve in first-person shooters. Any strategies that helped you get better? Shiki, we can start with you.
I don't really have much experience, to be honest. This is more of a Starry question.
Sorry, we'll start with you.
Yeah, go ahead, Starry.
For me personally, when I was grinding to be the best, I would watch a lot of professional play. So whenever they had tournaments or whenever there was VODs for those tournaments, I'd always watch it, but it's always how you watch it too. You always have to analyze what they're doing and why they are making that decision, why they're placing their util that way. And obviously, finding out ways to make my aim better by using aim trainers and coming up with my own aim routine. It's not a one size, like one shoe fits all. Like you have to go out and find a good aim routine to make sure that your aim is at its peak. You can always use other people's aim routine as like a set thing. that you can use to make yours. So if you don't have an idea on where you can start, you can always take somebody else's, see what works for you, and then take from there, and then just keep building onto your aim routine just so that you can continue growing your aim. And then other things that I did was when I play ranked, I don't play to win, I play to get better. Obviously winning is great, but when I play to improve. So there's always things that I want to work on when I play ranked. I'll always say I want to work on my crosshair placement. I want to work on my spray. I want to work on my communication. There's always something that I will be working on. I will not just play just to win. I'll play to get better and play properly.
I love that. So you'll take a game and you'll say, this game I'm going to improve on my communication, and then that becomes like the thing that you're sort of keeping in the front of your mind. I mean, even though you're still playing, but you're like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I improve in this time, and then next time it'll be something else. So you're getting specific practice, but in different games.
Yes. It's always that mindset that you need to have, because when people play games, they think that, and they want to improve, they think you just need to play a lot, which isn't true. Because even if you play a lot, you might not get better because you're not finding ways to improve yourself. So when you play ranked or when you play the game, you should always just find little things that you can improve on, always. Whether it be, oh my gosh, I'm aiming at people's feet right now, I should pick up my crosshair and focus on only my crosshair placement that game. And just little things like that will just help you get better naturally.
I love that. Shiki, I see you nodding when you're on mute. Are you going to stay on mute or anything else around practice?
No, I mute because I don't want to, like, the AC is on, so I don't want to, like, background noise. No, yeah, I like Starry is just amazing. I love hearing her talk.
I know, right? I'm like, Star's gonna get me to try to, like, I haven't like played a game since Mortal Kombat in an arcade, like when it was 25 cents. I'm like, Starry's gonna get me back trying to figure out what game I like.
No, I think what she said is literally what I used to do when I used to play competitive, is watch VODs, watch professional players, use it as like a base, like at the start of the foundation, but you want to add your own thing to it, because at the end of the day, like, not like she said, one size doesn't fit all. I said shoe, I don't know why, but you know what I mean. Same thing,
Same thing.
But I think that also kind of, I know the question was with FPS, but I think it kind of applies with streaming too. In a sense, you can look at someone and be like, I like how they're funny, or I like how they interact with chat. I like how they're positive. Like little things like that can help, because the numbers will come when they come. Like this whole industry, everything's gonna fluctuate. Numbers, placements, tournaments, like nothing is always gonna go perfect, So I think at the end of the day is like, just have one thing in mind, one goal, like every day or every time you play, or every time you stream, just to have like one goal to like focus on. There's times where some streams, I personally am like, I need to make sure I, interact with chat, because I'm usually like decent at it, but then there's times where like I'm playing GTA and I'm so into like talking to the people in GTA that I'm like, oh, hi chat, I'm sorry, forgot you were there for a second. I don't and it's not like intentional, obviously, but it's like, because it's that second nature. You yourself feel so immersive in it. That's how I know like why I grind it out 18 hours a day, which is not healthy, but I play so much and I'm so used to it, because it's like I'm so focused, in the content, right, that it's good to stop yourself and be like, hey, you can take a break a little bit. You don't gotta be so immersive. You can focus on talking to chat and being funny. Take a break, get water. I need to remind myself to get water more, stuff like that.
Eat, food is also important in that 18 hours, Shiki.
All of that goes out. I sit here, I'm like, oh, it's midnight, I should have dinner or breakfast.
Right.
But yeah, I think it applies both sides, even casual gamers. Like I said, you don't have to be competitive. You can literally just be like, I want to be better at Killjoy in Valorant. That was one of my goals, and then I went into a custom game and I just practiced all the lineups. Now when I play in customs, they're like, oh, you're good, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Right. Just one character, but I'm good.
But hey, right, you're like, I'll play that. Right?
Yeah,
like,
that's
who I
me.
am.
Thank you guys.
Oh, well, listen, we're coming to our time, and We got this question in that I think is just such a great question for us to close on, because it's around how you keep true to yourself. And if there's one thing that I've experienced in our time together is just feeling your energy and, both of your authenticity. I mean, I want to like get brunch with you ladies. I want to like drink mimosas and ask stupid questions about gaming and learn from you ladies. But it's because I just feel this authenticity, right? In your presence and with who you are. And so this question asks, how do you keep true to yourself on social media, but also being mindful that you're with an org, and who you are on social media? Does that change once you sign off?
You want to go first, Shiki, or did you want me to go first?
You can go.
It is very hard to stay really authentic and true to yourself on social media because you're always influenced by other people. And you just have to remember at the end of the day, social media is a mask. No one will show when they're down or vulnerable. They're only going to show you the high parts and the good parts. And because of that, it might influence you like, oh, I have to be like this all the time. But you have to remember, like, social media is kind of fake at the end of the day. You're only showing what you want to show. And for me personally, when I signed to XSET, that didn't really change for me. Like me tweeting what I wanted to tweet, me posting what I wanted to post, because I'm always just going to be me. And XSET didn't sign me because of a fake facade. They didn't sign me because of who they thought I was. They knew who I am. And obviously there are some filters, like you don't want to go around like being mean and rude to everyone. Obviously there's like some filters, but at the end of the day, like I'm very true about what I tweet and what I post because it's me and there's no one else like me. And if at the end of the day they don't like me, that's their problem. It's kind of like, it's your life. You kind of take the reins on it, and there's no point in trying to be someone that you're not, because you're just going to make yourself miserable. And you'd rather just be happy. I mean, it's your life. Why spend all the time being someone you're not and then being miserable about it? Just be who you are. And if they like you, they like you.
Right. And it sounds like if you're not being who you are, to your earlier points, that you're not going to win, you're going to plateau in your content, right? Like it's going to end up, you're not going to manifest what you want. Shiki, how about you? How do you keep true to yourself, sis?
All the time. No, I'm just kidding. No, there's times.
I can tell. No, I can already tell. I'm like, okay, wait, when are we meeting? When are we hanging out?
No, I personally, I'm similar to Starry. I think like going forward, just anybody like in general, like you're gonna, like at the end of the day, like you go to sleep thinking, your own thoughts and how you act throughout the day. And yeah, on social media, you want to be more like positive, and all these things. But at the end of the day, like everyone has bad days, and it's okay to, share that like within reason. Obviously, you're not gonna like be rude or something or start drama, because like no one needs that. Like there's already enough going on in the world. Just keep it positive. But I think like for me, once I like threw myself into content creating, like in the beginning I was like, do I have to be like a certain way? Do I have to dress a certain way, all these things? And I was like, that sounds like too much work. So I was just like, I'm gonna be me, that's more comfortable, and everyone goes through phases and changes. So I think it's more like helpful and relatable and unique that way, that the people that follow you on social media, you can be more of a positive influence on them while they go on this journey with you while you are growing up, because I started this 4 or 5 years ago. So I was wait, math is hard, hold on, I was like 17, 18, there you go, I had to think about it, sorry. I was like 17, 18 when I started this, fresh out of high school. And then now I'm gonna be 22 at the end of this month, and it's like, yeah, I'm a different person. That doesn't mean I'm not authentic or fake, but like if you show that from like your growth, I think that's so much better for people, because at the end of the day, like everyone wants to find someone they relate to, and they want to be liked. And everyone who doesn't want to be liked, you want to have friends, you want to have a positive support system, and that's just in life. Like you want someone to like you in your workspace, right? You don't want your boss to not like you or a coworker to not like you, right? So like at the end of the day, there's gonna be people that don't vibe with you, and that's fine. Not every, persona is compatible. That's just how it is in this world. But the best thing you do is be civil, be positive. And if they decide to act a certain way, that's on them. And if it's on social media, there's a block button. Don't even think about it, just put it away. That's it,
I love the block button.
Yeah, just block,
my favorite.
And that's it. I think, it's just so much better to be yourself as much as possible. And I know it's so hard to do that because, like, this is an example of a high pressure situation, right? It's not even like because of like we're on an org. Like XSET, like Starriebun wouldn't have signed us if they didn't like who we were beforehand, right? Because we weren't signed to anything. So there like it's just better to have I guess no filter when it comes to who you are. Obviously have a filter on social media, be polite and positive and all that. But like with you, there shouldn't be a filter. Like there's too much of that in the world already.
Right. I mean, have a value structure, right? Have a moral compass, but don't have a filter.
Yeah, like don't have a filter. Like don't censor yourself is what I'm saying. Don't like be like, oh, I have to talk like this or act like this. Like no, just be yourself. Like Like,
I love that.
I'm not always funny on stream. Like there's times where I'm just chill. Like obviously I try to talk to chat. I need to work on it. But like, you know what I mean? That's a perfect example. Like you can just, just sometimes you want to chill and you just want to have a nice conversation with chat. And then sometimes you feel high energy, you want to be funny. Everyone goes through waves. So,
right.
Yeah.
I'd like to
and
add
if
more
you
onto
are
that.
who you are, like, then you don't have to worry about being somebody, right? It's like, wait, what room am I in? Who am I in this space? Because you're whoever you are, and you're going to keep being that no matter where you go.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think another thing is like, I think when people can see you actually grow as a person, it inspires them more too. It's more relatable. They don't think like you're some untouchable high being god, like a famous streamer that they'll never be. Like when you just show that you're human too, they're like, oh, I could do what they do. Like it's more possible. Like
right. It makes it so much more accessible. And, I mean, thank goodness, right? I mean, I'm glad I've changed from when I was 17. And also, Shiki, no shade. I'm glad I changed since I was 22. It keeps getting better. You want every decade to get better, so that you're running into decades, be like, what am I going to learn this time? I got a little bit more money. I got a little bit more confidence. Let's roll, right? Like,
no, I 100% agree.
As an elder, as an auntie, I pass on this lesson at Women's History Month to the two of you.
I think that's one thing we all have to remember, regardless of female, males, just everybody in general. It's like, like we're all human, we all have the same brain. We all have a heart. We all have a soul. Like, this is just vibe out. That's what I say to people in game when they're like mean, like, you're a girl. I'm like, are you human? Yeah. Am I human? Yeah. Okay. Move on. Just play the game.
Exactly.
Just have fun. Like, I don't care.
And on to play. Right?
Yeah, and on to play. And then they shut up after. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, we're all human. Who cares? Just play, have fun, live life.
Right. What are we doing here? What a great way to end. We are all human. Go play and have fun. It was such a pleasure. I mean, you two women are just inspiring. As I said, Erin was the first woman from XSET I met, and shout out to her holding us down behind the scenes with everything. And now meeting the two of you, it's just been a real pleasure to get to know gaming through the eyes of women, and women who have found, success, but also had lessons and trials. And I just wish you both the continued success. And thank you so much for being a woman and leading us and others and others in this future and this whole new economy. And thank you everyone for tuning in. See y'all later.